Area high school students get their hands dirty to learn what it takes to work in the agriculture industry. WIFR News reporter Sydney Stoffregan was there as Highland Community College gave the teens hands-on and networking opportunities.
The American Farm Bureau Federation estimates 2.4 million farm jobs need to be filled across the nation. Leaders with the Northwest Illinois Agriculture Expo hope to inspire younger generations to fill that gap.
It really is about who you know in the industry.
The future of agriculture is on display at Highland Community College. Nearly 150 high school students networked with more than 40 area employers at the Northwest Illinois Agriculture Industry Expo. Olivia Kepner teaches at Highland and emphasizes the industry is more than tilling a field. It includes opportunities at animal sciences and biotechnology.
In our rotations, we're showing them how hands-on our classrooms really are, and the networking piece of it for them is really about exploration.
An industry labor shortage forced more than 140,000 U.S. farms to close over the past 5 years. With the age of farmers increasing, Kepner says the need for more will soon skyrocket.
I think our program here is really trying to help find those opportunities for those students that maybe want to start their own farm, go back to their family farm, or just stay in the industry to help fill those gaps.
Aaliyah Whitney is a sophomore at Highland, took advantage of the chance to leave her resume with potential employers.
It's going to help me kind of make those connections and build those partnerships with different industries that maybe I will have a job with them one day, or maybe I can reach out to them one day about questions or something that I have.
If you never thought a future in ag was for you, Whitney says you should give it a look.
I don't like that people don't know where their stuff is coming from. I don't like that people don't know that everything starts from agriculture.
Highland's agriculture program recently added cannabis studies to its course load, which also includes agribusiness, crop and soil science, and food science.
Thank you, Sydney. Highland Community College will host a ribbon cutting December 12th to celebrate the unveiling of a new CNC lab.